Now, I don't need to tell. Everybody has their own opinion. You tell me, can they win all four of those games? Because if they lose one, they're likely to repeat the losing record of last year. Last year was 5-7. I don't think those teams are any good, any of those four. But then where you put Michigan State and where they're going to be, where they're going to, I think the Rutgers game obviously is crucial. If they don't win it, they're going to have a losing season. And Rutgers, by its standards, is pretty good. And it's a home game for Rutgers. So we don't know who this, they got quarterback issues, they've got depth issues, they got injury issues. It's a long answer to about the assistant coaches. And those guys have got to be under stress and strain too. You got to keep those players playing, and the more you lose, am I boring you or?
No, I'm checking our audio.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Oh, that's pretty much. That's pretty much in a nutshell. What's next? I mean, if anybody can answer that, I mean, every day around here, every hour around here with this thing, something's changing.
So another question about the coaching, the Big Ten is expanding.
Yes.
So if you were looking for a coach outside of the Big Ten, is it intimidating or enticing for a coach to come into the Big Ten?
I think it depends on who the coach is. If you're a young assistant coach who's looking for a break at a major school, maybe it's Michigan State. If you're an established, older, big-time coach, do you want to come into the middle of this and think it's just going to be, Shangri-La? Because I've done it elsewhere pretty well, so I'll do it elsewhere there. I think it's different by what the circumstances are of the coach coming in at this time. This is no easy job for anybody coming in right now, and expanding the Big Ten is part of it. The teams coming in are pretty good in football, and Clemson may come in before the end of the month.
Now, you mentioned the player. Is this going to be a player exodus, or is it going to be one or two key players?
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Over there, nobody thought Peyton Thorne and Keon Coleman were going to go after spring practice, but surprise.
All right. Well, sticking with football, but getting away from college, what are some high school football teams that are impressing you so far, and what ones are falling short?
There are three in the area in Greater Lansing that are still unbeaten at 6-0. Portland, Sexton, and Mason. Portland and Sexton playing week 8, so that's going to knock that down. Mason's got two very tough non-conference games at the end of its schedule with Fenton and Walled Lake Western, and they're both good.
They're both good.
So you theoretically, you could get to where we don't really have an unbeaten team in the area, although the Portland-Sexton winner, Portland plays Charlotte Friday, I think they'll win that game. The Sexton game is going to be tougher for Portland, and then Sexton gets Eastern, and they'll romp in that, and good for them. They were 4-5. They've had 4 straight losing seasons. In the Jackson area, what is it? Grass Lake and Michigan Center. Fred just told me is our game of the week this Friday.
So.
And I'm not as up on those guys, those teams in that area. I always say just start with Lumen Christi and move east for the best teams there. And usually you can't miss.
All right. Well, yesterday was a big day in Detroit. It was the end of an era. You were?
I was there.
So was our promotions.
Who?
Bronwyn.
I didn't see her.
I don't know if she saw you either. But it is the end of an era for Tigers fans. Miguel Cabrera officially retired. The Tigers did win the game 5-2, but it comes kind of too little too late, they may say, because it wasn't a great season. What were your what was your feeling at the?
Well, we got invited. We were sitting with the beautiful people in a suite.
Oh.
And I felt right at home there. And,
the look on Ann's face
was there.
is perfect.
Ann was there. She was part of the beautiful people. And
a lot of ceremonial stuff, a lot of
the best part to me was in the beginning when they had the card section for 42,000 people. Whoever came up with that was extremely creative. It was extremely well done. I don't know what it cost to print 42,000 of those cards, but it was well done. I hope he writes thank you notes, because he's got a few that he owes, because as critical as I am about the way sometimes these pro teams do things, they went out of their way. Now, they had a motivation was to sell tickets on the last game, three-game homestand, because neither one of those teams is playing for anything. So otherwise, without this, they wouldn't have drawn anybody, because it's the end of the season and nobody cares. But with this, you know, they milked that thing for all it was worth. But they did a good job with it. It was well done. It was he didn't do anything. As you know, I mean, he went in and played one play at first base and finished with a 1,000% fielding percentage. So he leads the major leagues in fielding this year because he didn't make an error. He only played one batter. That's all he needed.
He had quite a send off throughout the season, though. A lot of teams
Yeah, he
honoring
did.
him every time
Yeah,
he stopped
did.
by.
Yeah.
A lot of,
That
I know
place-
there were some
I
Lions
always
players
say-
there.
I always say that these attendance figures at all these stadiums are way, 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 way inflated, but that place was packed.
Yeah.
And I want to know how many Cabrera jerseys I saw because it was in the thousands.
I saw a lot
I
on
don't
the
know
broadcast.
where they bought them all, but it was in the thousands.
Now, there is a new GM coming to the Tigers. That was announced a little bit ago.
He looks younger than you do.
Thank you. I think. I don't know. What kind of immediate impact do you think he's going to have, or is it going to take?
I don't know what his duties are going to be. I mean, my bigger question on Cabrera is he's now the special assistant to the team president. Exactly what does that mean?
So the quote that we got from the team president was that he's going to help mentor some of the newer players that are coming in to get acclimated to the
I
culture.
could do that a lot cheaper. I'm just telling you.
But as a player coming in, no offense, I'd want to hear from Miguel Cabrera over you.
Well, I guess that's what they're doing. I mean, I guess that's, you know. I had a guy tell me yesterday he had to go back and play one more year because he's better than most of the players they got now, even though he's 100 years old.
He's not 100 years old. He is older, but he had a very good career. 16 of his seasons with Detroit. Definitely it's a fan favorite. He's a teammate favorite, a opponent favorite, and a media favorite as well. So that's all you need. I mean, you're literally hitting all the bases when you're got that.
I'm not arguing with you. I mean,
all right. Well, I haven't talked to you since the Lions won, and that's okay. But some news that came out on Friday. Of course, they won on Thursday, but on Friday it was announced that Jameson Williams would be reinstated from his suspension early.
I don't get the feeling Campbell's high on him. He criticizes him. He says, he said today, we got to see where he is playing football. I didn't quite get what that meant. Is he saying this guy's checked out a bit? I don't know that. He's going to have a hard time finding playing time anyway, unless there's injuries. And by the way, you know, these injuries, I mean, let me tell you, each week, just go add up all the stars that get knocked out of these games. I would put this Goff in a cocoon.
So here is what Dan Campbell had to say about Jameson coming back. Of course, he came back actually today. They had, I believe, strength training and some other stuff. They're going to do full practice tomorrow. But Campbell said if he does play, he can't play 60 plays. That's not smart. So we'll see where it goes. It's all about improvement, no different than the rest of the team. Every week, we just got to get a little bit better. He just needs to get a little bit better, and we'll take it from there. Wow. So it sounds like he's going to be in more of a supportive role for the team versus going out there and being who they were hoping he was going to be, which the Lions are sitting pretty atop the NFC North, so they don't really need it.
Hang on, watch this. I'm on the air at the moment. You call back in 5 minutes. They said 4:30. I'm supposed to do another radio in it, but they said 4:30. It's not as big a deal as this is.
It's not even close to 4:30. Better get somebody to watch.
Yeah.
So with the Lions being where they are, they don't really need to bring him back onto the field right away.
Well, I mean, if you watch every week, you watch some of these games and you say, I mean, how is Philadelphia at home in overtime yesterday with Washington? How are some of these teams? Kansas City playing 3 points against the Jets every week.
Wild season already.
Say, these Lions fans. I mean, these guys have 13 games to play, all right, and they got to keep that quarterback healthy for 13 games, and he gets hit too. And if he gets hit and gets knocked out,
There's been a couple times where you're, as a Lions fan, you're holding your breath, hoping that he gets right back up.
I totally agree. He got hit a couple of times against Green Bay, and I thought, is he going to get up? Is he going to get up?
Well, we'll find out. The Lions host the Carolina Panthers on Sunday at 1 p.m. What else is coming up on the Sports Desk? I know Joey headed out to Michigan Center.
Harbaugh spoke today. We got him today. Before I go, it had been widely assumed that Michigan State on October 21st in Spartan Stadium is a night game here on Channel 10 at 7:30. But
it's said to be announced every time I've looked.
Well, I got reported by some of the media that covers broadcasting, and I think NBC wants Ohio State and Penn State, but they don't have them yet because it's not their call. So
Okay.
this is going to get political. But now, hearing this, I'm not at all convinced that's going to be a night game. That could go to 3:30.
3:30.
Well,
in
it
East Lansing.
could. You got 3 shots: noon, 3:30, and 7:30.
Right.
It's going to be one of them. But now it doesn't sound as if, because Michigan State's tanked it. NBC probably is looking. Well, Penn State, Ohio State's.
It's going to be a great game.
That's the big game. So
It's going to be a great game.
stay tuned. If we get it, we'll pass it on.
We sure will. You can stay tuned on air, online. Of course, you can download our app. We will send a push alert to your phone as soon as we find out about that. Tim, thank you so much. And
All
we'll see
right.
you back here, same time tomorrow.